Hello friends, welcome back to the Ray Moon Oracle. I'm Raya, and today we have chapter 3 of the Plant Spirit Advice series. So advice coming from our plant kingdom here. And so we have a brand new set of 8 cards today for you to choose from. So you'll see them soon in just a second here. The cards will be face down first, and then you'll see them in the upright. So you can go purely based off intuition, numbers. The cards will be numbered, and then they'll be face up after that. So then you can see if there's a particular plant or one of the descriptive words, if that's more interactive for you, if that resonates better with you, then you can choose that one. So just keep in mind for these cards too, we have 4 different categories, suits, so to speak, for these cards specifically. We have the herbs, we have the flowers, we have the roots, and we have the trees. And our root cards stand for winter and the north. Our our herbs stand for spring and the east. Our flowers stand for summer and the south. And then our trees are the autumn and the west. So you'll see the little symbols down at the bottom. It looks like this. Kind of see right there. It'll look like that. And they'll match their different categories here. So that one's the herb one. These are not part of the cards in there, but just to give you an example of what they look like. We showed the trees already. That one's the flower symbol. And then the root symbol. So, yeah. These ones are for the next video. So, keep that in mind. Maybe that also resonates with you. Maybe you're watching this at a specific time of year. Maybe you're watching this during a specific season of your life, potentially. You're about to start into something new, or maybe you're letting go of the old. So, seasons of our life and then the actual seasons out in the world, right? So, when you are ready, feel free to hop into the next section of the videos. These are timeless readings, so you can come back to them again and again if you need additional spirit advice. And this is the 3rd chapter of the series. There'll be probably 2 more after this, and then you'll have the entire series to pick from. And then you also have the Animal Kingdom that I've also done already. So when you're ready, jump over to the groups, and I'll see you over there. Bye. Hello, welcome to the face down portion of this pick a group reading here. So we've got our 8 cards laid out in front of us, our 8 different groups. So this is going to be group number 1 here, 2, 3, 4, group number 5, 6, 7, and then 8. So feel free to pause the video if you need to. The numbers are popping up on screen, so you can go based off your feeling of the card, whatever intuition you want to use, muscle testing, pendulum, whatever it may be. And if you want to just use this part of the video, then the timestamps are down below. Otherwise, if you want to see the cards face up, connect with maybe one of the plants here, the colors, whatever else may be drawing you in, go to the next part of the reading. I'll see you over there. Hello, welcome to the upright portion now of this video. So we've got our 8 cards laid out in front of us here. So you can see our different colors, our different plants / trees, that one to connect with you today. So group number 1 over here is the St. John's wort, and that is illumination. This is one of the flowers for the suit, and it is one of the summer energy. So we've actually got a lot of summer here, a lot of fall, and then just a little bit here of winter. Group number 2 is Vitex, which is self-mastery. It's group number 2. Group number 3 is Cherry, and that is renewal. Group number 4 is Ginkgo, which is patience. Soft eyes on that one. So that's group number 4. Group number 5 is Shooting Star, life purpose. Group number 6 is Daffodil, self-worth. Group number 7 is Burdock, detoxify. And then finally, group number 8 is Devil's Club, reclaim power. So the numbers will be popping up on screen here. So group number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So when you are ready, the timestamps are down below for you to hop into your groups. And I hope you enjoy the reading, and I'll see you over there. Bye. Hello, group number 1, the St. John's wort, Illumination. So here's a good close-up of your card here. Beautiful flower. So comes as no surprise, I'm sure this flower ties in with sun energy, that solar energy, illumination, bringing light into a situation, into your mind, and bringing clarity to whatever you're asking about in this case, right? So we're looking at this card in terms of spirit advice, right? This is spirit advice from the plant kingdom. So with this card, there is a quote that all of them have at the beginning of their description here, and I do want to read that out for you. So for St. John's wort, Illumination, it says, God appears and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in the night, or in night, but does a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day. And that is a William Blake quote, apparently. Don't know who William Blake is off the top of my head, but that is the quote that is included with the description of this card. So for spirit advice for you here, group number 1, for St. John's wort, Illumination. St. John's wort, the base archetypical energy of this plant is more masculine, but it does tie in with some feminine energy depending on how the plant is prepared and what it is used for. It can help with some feminine cycles and different things of that nature, but overall it is a masculine plant that has a lot of decisive energy to it, right? Bringing in illumination here, right? This sun energy, this like bright, like we see these bright rays of sunshine coming out of this card. And the goal with this card is to bring illumination to the situation that you're asking about. There is something here that you are understanding now, finally, that something that you're like, maybe you knew it consciously, right? You could be like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll do that. But you didn't actually know it like deep down in the subconscious, right? It's in those deep, dark areas of yourself, in your mind, in your body, in your mental, emotional, all those areas. And now light is being shined into those spaces of yourself. Light is illuminating that area of your life with the St. John's wort here. The focus being to bring light to the situation and then being able to take decisive action from that point, right? It's only by being fully aware of the situation that we are able to progress and change and understand what's happening, and then we can move forward in a progressive way, right? We now have all the pieces in place. All the pieces are, we can see everything clearly. It is all laid out in front of us, and now we can make decisive moves, decisive actions with this card, with this illumination that's coming up. With illumination, I know in the description, the book talks about the, like with the sun energy, and then there is like a harshness that comes with this energy sometimes as well. It can be when something is illuminated that we weren't prepared for necessarily. It's almost like a slap in the face. It's too much all at once. It's like being in the sun for such a long period of time and getting sunburned, right? So there is an element here of, not that the card itself is saying that, but just the energy I'm picking up maybe for whoever's particularly watching this reading, or that is just advice needed for this collective as a whole for this one, is to be kind of careful what you wish for. That it's like, okay, if you asked for clarity, you've asked for insight into a situation, it's bringing it to you, right? But you might not like what you see, or it might bring up some things that you weren't quite ready for. It might bring up some triggers, some things that you have to bring and heal. And that is important at the end of the day, but it's a tough situation to go through, right? It's a very important process to go through, but it's a tough process to go through. So just keep that in mind with this card, right? Where it's like, okay, we're flying too close to the sun. We can see things clearly, but we might get sunburned at the same time. So keep that energy in mind as you're progressing with whatever situation you're moving forward in and getting advice from this reading for. With our St. John's wort here, the clarity of mind is important too, and the way we progress forward in using the new illuminated knowledge, right? When we are shining brightly, when we have this illumination coming out of us, there is the way people react to us could be different as well, right? Some people, you might attract people that are wanting more of your energy because you are shining so brightly. You are healed or healing, and therefore you bring people that also want to use you for their own healing, or they want you to help them heal. Also, it could be a reaction from people that aren't illuminated, right? There is a reaction here on the opposite side of the spectrum where you're illuminated, you're shining brightly, you have this new reality that you're stepping into, you have this new awareness that you are perceiving now and stuff. And then the way you react and respond to the universe, to people around you, to situations is different. And then that will change how your friends, your family, your coworkers, other people around you respond to you as well. And sometimes it's not always going to be in the best way, right? Because you are showing them what they aren't doing. You are triggering them, right? You're showing them, hey, this is I'm healing, I'm taking care of myself. And people sometimes get triggered by that energy, right? Where they're like, oh, well, you're better than me, or they get jealous of you, or they're trying to stamp out this new illuminated self, this new light that you're shining brightly now, because it hurts them, right? It makes them feel insecure. It makes them feel like they are failing, right? So just something else to keep in mind with this card. It's very, very strong. There's a lot to it. Of course, any sun energy is going to be a really, really strong energy. Again, it's very direct. It's up front. It's very masculine. It's very like forward moving. It is very intense overall, right? Versus something like a moon energy, which is a little bit more subtle, a little bit more subconscious, right? This is very action oriented. This is very upfront and moving and progressing, and let's go. Okay, we've got this shining, we got it bright. We know what's going on now. It's time to move forward, progress, like move forward very, very rapidly, right? And with this card as well, just keep in mind the need to have a little bit more self-care maybe as well, right? Dealing with those triggering situations, dealing with people that are triggered around you as you have to like maneuver and figure out how you're going to respond to those people now. But also when a new part of yourself is illuminated, things that you were keeping hidden from yourself or that you weren't consciously or subconsciously aware of, and now they're coming to light. There's a lot more healing that needs to take place, and that you're going to need a lot more energy and self-care for that as well. So keep that in mind. And then this is when this plant is very helpful for that as well. That brings in this energy of support and being like, okay, we got this, we'll take care of it, we're going to work through this together, right? So let me see real fast if there's anything else I've missed. So the last part for this reading here, group number 1, my St. John's Wort group illumination, in terms of spirit advice, is to keep in mind for this card as well, we're really working with, like I was saying, decisive action, right? But that's also our solar plexus energy. That is our personal power and how we move and progress. And also like our destiny, right? The things we want to do in this world, our personal goal, personal mission as we come into this life and what we're trying to do, right? So that's another thing where it's like ways life can be triggered, or you can trigger other people through this energy, but we're really working with personal power, gaining it, keeping ourselves strong through this energy and working really, really hard, right? So it takes a lot of internal energy in that solar plexus region to work through and grow and change. So it's something to cultivate and keep really, really strong at the same time, while making sure you aren't overdoing it, right? Again, solar energy can be a little bit too intense sometimes. So we just want to make sure that we're staying really, really strong, but making sure we know where our boundaries are and we're not like burning the candle at both ends, right? So super fun, interesting, beautiful card, St. John's Wort illumination. Definitely something that is handy. It definitely makes sense that it is a summer card, a flower here, the height of summer. This St. John's Wort, that the flowers, I think, bloom around the summer solstice is what the book was saying in the description. So very strong energy, things to keep in mind and work through, and seeing where you are, where life is illuminating new things for you. Look at the situation that you're asking about for spirit advice here, and see things clearly now. See things and progress your situation now that you maybe didn't have the answers to before, you didn't have the clarity before. Now something is being shown to you, and it's time to progress forward with that, okay? So That is all I have for you, my friends. If you feel the need to, there are 8 other groups in this video itself. This is chapter 3 of this reading as well. So there are 2 other videos in this series for plant advice, plant kingdom advice, and then there's the animal kingdom advice as well if you feel like you need a little bit extra or need something else or you have another question. So that is all I have for us today, friends. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, group number 2, the Vitex Self-Mastery group. So this is your card you chose to get spirit advice from today from our plant kingdom. This is one of our trees, of course, with the autumn season here. Trees representing that strength and durability through the changing autumn season, right? They go through a death and renewal process, but not to the same extent like other plants dying completely back, right? The base of the trunk still being there, still doing a lot of work through those winter seasons and preparing through the whole year, right? So with Vitex and self-mastery, Vitex focuses a lot on hormonal health. The description book talks a lot about specifically for women's menstrual cycles, for the hormone balancing aspects of things. And then the card itself on this plant talks a lot about, funny enough, chastity, which is an interesting concept to dive into. The berries, I believe, that this tree puts out as part of its fruiting process, they call them chasteberries. So there is an aspect here of sexuality, of movement through that sacral, solar, that lower, deeper energy, right? Which is highly creative, highly intuitive, into our gut, our deeper instincts, our deeper feelings, and a really interesting way of connection as well, right? So if you just look at the concept of chastity, for example, right, there is a high level of self-mastery there, right? So somebody that we think in terms of cultures that is chaste, right? So you might think of a monk or a nun or a priest, some kind of highly spiritual person potentially that has a lot of self-discipline and self-mastery in order to achieve their goals, achieve this higher level of knowledge, to achieve whatever they set their mind out to do, right? So there is, when we're talking in terms of chastity and the movement of sexual energy, it's a highly creative energy at the end of the day, right? It's the energy that is used to create life. That is its purpose. That is one of the main things that's there, but not just life in terms of making continuing on the human race, right? It is creation energy at the end of the day. So it's the energy that creates art, that creates the great writings, it creates new ideas and ventures and unique opportunities, right? All of that is its own kind of life, its own creation energy, and all of that comes out of that sacral chakra energy. And with that, we focus heavily back into self-mastery for that, right? So somebody's writing their magnus opus, and their great work, right? The biggest, greatest book that they'll ever write, for example. It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of self-mastery, and a lot of creation energy, right? There is a divinity that comes out of this energy, right? And with that energy, we have to be able to channel it the right way, right? Otherwise, it'll just fizzle out. It can burn us. It can take up too much energy, if it's not channeled properly. And I really like the way this card looks in terms of the eye, and further in here, if we can get close, we see the channels it's moving through, right, as it moves up through. And it's almost kind of in that double helix pattern here as it's moving up through the tree. And that reminds me very much of the Kundalini energy, the flow up through the chakras, and really honing in that deep what's the word I want? The intensity of energy here. Let's see if we can get it focused back in. There we go. So let me read you there's a quote that each of the description has for these cards. Let me read you the one for Vitex here. Vitex Self-Mastery. It says, in each moment the fire rages, it'll burn away 100 veils and carry you 1,000 steps towards your goal. And it's a Rumi quote. So with Vitex 2, we're really talking about passion. We're talking about creation. We're talking about some new idea that you're having here, right? There is something that feels like divinely inspired here in terms of spirit advice, something that we're looking into that's like that. It's like, oh, that idea that I've been putting on the back burner for a long time that's still just in my head, this like great like new invention, this story that you want to write, right? This new drawing, this new like even something small, right? It's like a little like sticker design or a like a little short story. It is the energy just even as small as like a cool like blog post potentially, or making or like posting a really cool picture on Instagram, like things like that. Even wherever this deep creation energy is, this passion, this vitality, this sacral chakra energy that's coming up and through, Vitex ties in heavily with that, but for the focus of using it in a very disciplined manner, in a very disciplined way, so that way we can achieve our goals and achieve our passions here, right? So the self-mastery being the key element of this card, of this energy, and the advice that's coming through for this card for you today, group number 2. The self-mastery, it is multifaceted, right? Self-mastery is a mastery of self in all the ways potentially. Could be a mastery over our body, so being highly disciplined in a workout routine potentially, or a being consistent in going off for a walk every day. And it could be mastery over the mind. It could be like, okay, we're going to be really firm on our mental health and making sure we're going to our therapy sessions, and maybe we need to be journaling every day. There's something here that needs to just be like rigid, have like a rigidity to it, like a regimen. That's the word I want. Has a regimen to it, and whatever that looks like for you, right? So it's like we've talked about physical, like a physical mastery, mental mastery. It could be a spiritual mastery too, right? It's like doing your meditations every day. You're reading a new book every month to explore a new field in in metaphysics, right? Maybe you're going to go take a walk out in nature and connect with plants, different animals, things like that. In terms of emotional, right, it could be having those difficult conversations with a loved one, right, establishing boundaries, or tackling a issue that's been persistent for a while with a family member, with a significant other, with a friend. These are all ways that we can have mastery over self. And again, very multifaceted, right? There is some area of your life here where there is an idea, a new purpose, new thing coming through that's going to take this mastery here. That's going to take the discipline, the work, the effort in order to have this energy channeled properly into this creation of this new thing, right? We'll just take writing a book, for example, right? So it's like, okay, you have a really cool idea for a story. It came to you in a dream. It's something that like you just thought of one day that you feel it's very like divinely inspired. It's just like, oh my God, this is the best story ever. I'm super excited for this to exist, right? But you have to sit down every day and write it. You have to sit down and write it by hands, write out 100 words, potentially like 3 times a day. You have to sit down at your computer and type out 1,000 words. It's like you have to sit down and write out the outline for how the story is going to progress, the plot, the climax, the movement through, how it finishes out. Is it just one book? Is it 3 books? Is it longer than that? How do these characters interact? There's so much more to it, right? And the self-mastery comes where it's like you have to keep working at it. You have to keep chipping away at whatever this goal is, whatever this idea is, and just putting in the work. And being disciplined is just one aspect of it, right? We have to fight the things that keep us from being disciplined, from doing the work, right? So for me, for example, it's like, okay, I need to film videos, right? So I need to overcome my mind for, it's like, oh, I'm tired, or I don't want to do this. I don't have the energy right now. Oh, I'm going to go get something to eat instead. Oh, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm going to make some tea before I sit down. Those are all things that block and that keep me from, I'm not being the master of myself and moving through and being like, nope, we just got to do it. We're going to sit down and do it and film and go and just keep progressing that little by little, right? Taking all those little steps, being consistent with ourselves and taking all those little steps in order to achieve the bigger goal here. And with Vitex, with the self-mastery, does feel like there's some bigger goal here that you are working in and towards group number 2. So Vitex coming in is like, okay, hey, figure out what you need to do to have control over yourself, discipline over yourself, and then it'll be easier to have the discipline to do the thing every single day, put in the hard work. So hopefully that makes sense, group number 2. If you need more advice, if you have a different question you want to ask, feel free to go back at the beginning of this video and interact with whatever other plants that may be calling to you. There are 2 other videos so far in this series, and there'll be a few more. So these are timeless readings that you can always come back to for advice from the plant kingdom. And then there's a set of videos for the animal kingdom as well. So whenever you need advice, it is here for you. But that is all I have for us today, friends. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, group number 3, the cherry group, the renewal group. Here is your beautiful card that you chose. This is the cherry tree. The tree is part of the autumn season in this deck specifically. So autumn focusing on the renewal process in a lot of ways, right? That's when everything dies back, pulls back, and prepares for winter and for a new season of growing coming up. But we have to have that season of pause, right? And we have that season of pause with renewal here, so we can renew and bring new life into a situation, bring new bounty, bring new harvest in. All that's is just a continuous cyclical cycle, right? That is what a cycle is. But with cherry tree here specifically, our renewal energy. Cherry focuses on this energy of innocence. There is an element here of like delicate. The book talks about like virginity specifically and a little bit of like sexuality tied in, and I can see that with this tree and this energy specifically. With cherry trees also, we think a lot about sakura blooms in Japan and over in Asian countries. I know there's some in like DC as well, when the cherry trees or sakura trees are blooming, and that is a time where that only lasts for like a month at most. It's the same thing for here in my state that I live in, when all the trees are turning yellow for fall, right? For winter, preparing for the winter season. There's only like a short amount of time to see this transitionary period, right? And this is that cycle of renewal that's happening on either side of the elements, either side of the seasons. That's the word I need. Seasons, right? So we have the spring season where these new buds, these new flowers are growing. I can see it with like my lilac bush out front as well, where the flowers are only blooming for a very short amount of time. Same thing with cherry trees here, and the sakura flowers only blooming for a very short amount of time. Same thing on the autumn side, where the leaves are turning yellow and are only this beautiful like yellow orangey color, maybe red depending on where you live. For a very short amount of time, right? We only have 3 weeks to a month or so maybe for both of these seasons and these time frames here. With our cherry tree and renewal, we're looking at this energy of birth and growth and new things coming in, right? And with this as well, we're looking at this energy of innocence, especially in renewal, and looking at our life and looking at, in terms of spirit advice, looking at places in our life where we maybe feel like we've lost some innocence, or we don't feel as young as we used to. We maybe don't feel youthful anymore. We feel like we lost our youth, or maybe wasted our youth, or we've lost time, right? We can't do the things that we want to do. We can't do the things we want to do because it's too late, right? And this energy coming in for spirit advice really feels like it's like, oh, it's too late to do that. I can't start a YouTube channel. I can't start that business. I can't write that book. I can't go on that trip. I can't do these things, right? Because I've lost my youth. It's too late. And cherry coming in here is this energy of renewal, being like, no, that's not the case. You have to look in deeper. You have to find those parts of yourself and renew them, bring them forward, bring them back up, right? So what did you love as a kid, right? Bringing in that youthful energy back into your life, back into your energy, back into yourself, and be like, oh, hey, no, I still love to do this thing, right? I feel like my life has passed me by, but if I look back in my youth and things I loved, and you rediscover a passion that you had, right? You rediscover that you love to draw, that just that youthful like innocence and joy of joy. It's like this thing you just loved so purely, so innocently, and bringing that energy back into your life, bringing that energy and renewing your life as a whole with that youthful energy. Recognizing the the delicate nature of life itself, where it's like, okay, we're just here for a moment in time, right? And also, like, our youth doesn't last forever, but at the same time, with that moment passing, there is a new era, a new chapter of life to get into, and we can bring this energy back into that, right? Because after we grow up, right, we don't have that childlike innocence anymore. Things aren't maybe as easy, or they feel a lot harder in general as we grow up, but at the same time we're able to do so many more things. We have a wisdom that we didn't have before, that in that connection there allows us to go to greater and greater heights, right? A child is pure and innocent and is not affected by the reality in the world in the same way. But at the same time, they don't have an understanding or greater depth of understanding for some of the things that you may be developing, right? Like a deep spiritual practice, this idea of discipline and being able to accomplish these goals. The child, like energy, is the one that has all the dreams and the things that they want to do in life, where it's like, oh, I want to be a rock star, I want to be an astronaut, those kinds of energies, right? I want to be a great writer. And then it's the adult later in life who actually accomplishes those things, right? It's being the adult and learning as you grow up through the ages, getting older and older. It's like, okay, if you want to be an astronaut, right, you have to learn how to read and write. You have to be really good at math. You have to do really well in school, get good grades, go to a good college to get that higher education that's needed, get into a good program. You have to be very physically fit at the same time, right? Those are all things that the child doesn't know about, right? Those are all the things that the child just has the dream of being an astronaut and how it'd be so cool to be in space, right? But it's the adult in life later on down the road that, if we're sticking to this dream, we're sticking to what we want to do, uses that discipline, that growth, that learning to accomplish everything, and keeping this renewal energy, this youthful energy through their entire life, right? And then you have that moment when that astronaut's finally going to space for the first time, going up to the international space station, and you're connecting to that inner youth, that inner child of yourself, and be like, hey, I accomplished this thing, right? I was able to achieve this goal. I was able to achieve this dream here. So our cherry energy here is just really asking us how to renew and bring this youthful energy back into ourselves, back into our life. Not going back to when we were carefree and didn't have any responsibilities. That's not realistic. That's not a possibility, right? But we can still have that youthfulness, that childlike innocence and wonder and joy in ourselves and in our life, and going back to a time where we were dreaming so deeply and joyfully and without restriction, and pulling that energy in and seeing how we can accomplish that, right? So I want to take a pause for a second here, and I'll read. There's a quote for every card here in the book that gives a little bit of description about the card. So this one is from Walt Disney, that is in the description for the cherry tree for renewal. And it says, "The worst of us is not without innocence, although buried deeply it might be." Walt Disney. So cherry tree, in this case, the cherry in renewal energy, in terms of spirit advice, is asking you to dive really, really deep down here, right? We look at the card itself and the heart that's at the center of the tree, this kind of swirling, deep energy, and go back to a time, like go back to yourself, far, far back in yourself, when life hadn't mess things up for you yet, right? And for some people, it might be even before you were born, right? A lot of coming into this world, coming into the earth energy is very hard. It's very difficult. Nobody gets out without some trauma of some sort, some pain of some sort. That is just the lesson of this planet as a whole. That is what we came here to be a part of. But going back to a time when this innocence was still there, this youthfulness, this childlike wonder, and reconnecting with that energy in yourself, bringing it up through you in your age that you are now and renewing that youthfulness inside yourself, that dreamlike energy, that childlike energy, and really connecting with that again. And maybe it's going to reveal something to you that you thought was long gone, that you forgot about, that you didn't think was possible anymore. And just try it out, right? If you loved to dance when you were a kid, what's stopping you from taking a dance class now as an adult? You are the adult now. You might have asked your parents as a kid, as a 4, 5, 6 year old or whatever, to take dance classes, and your parents couldn't afford it. Well, guess what? You're an adult now. You have your adult money, you have your adult time and resources and things, and you can figure that out. You can give that to your childlike self, your child self. You can give that to your inner child, right? You can get your inner child new art supplies. You can get your inner child that toy that they always wanted, right? That Lego set, that book you always wanted to read. There are things there now that you have the ability to do as an adult that you didn't have as a kid, and you can accomplish all those dreams that child you had. So renew that energy within yourself, renew that energy of childlike wonder and joy in yourself, and bring that forth and see what you can do to give that to yourself, right? Think of child you separately from yourself, like picture child you in front of you, and whatever they ask for, give them to it if possible, right? If they want to take that dance class, go take that dance class. If they want to go travel somewhere, see somewhere cool, go to that place. You have options now that you didn't have before, and that comes with being an adult, that comes with growing up, and that comes with time. Wisdom comes with time, right? And we have that now as an adult, so there is advantages to being an adult, there's advantages to being a kid. But now that we're older, there's no reason why we can't keep this youthful energy within inside ourselves, and this renewal energy, renew that within ourselves here, okay? So group number 3 are my cherry group. I hope that helped you out. I hope that gave you some good advice moving forward. If you need more advice, feel free to pick another group within this reading itself. There are 7 other cards to pick from here. There's also the other couple chapters. This is chapter 3, so there's 2 other videos that have different plant advice from different cards here, and then there's the animal kingdom as well. For any time you might need advice, these are timeless readings, so you can come back to them whenever you need a little bit more advice, okay? But that is all I have for you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, group number 4, the Ginkgo group, the energy of patience. This is one of our trees, of course, and the trees in this book being specifically the fall season, the energy of pulling back, of gaining energy, the harvest, all that kind of energy, right? But our ginkgo tree here specifically, our living fossil, right? Ginkgo trees are super fascinating. They have been around as a species since, I think, the Jurassic period, maybe earlier. They've been around a really, really long time. A lot of the plant fossils that we find sometimes tend to be a species of a ginkgo tree. And the ginkgo species, it is long lasting and very, very resilient, right? These trees on average, I think, live to be over 1,000 years old, or live to be 1,000 years old. Really, really old, right? And we have lots of great modern mythos now with the ginkgo tree. Not great situations that came about for it, but their resilience and their tenacity and strength that stays through time and time again. We know specifically for ginkgo trees, their ability to resist radiation and these big, kind of almost like cataclysmic events, right? So specifically with Hiroshima and the ginkgo trees that survived the blast of the atomic bombs going off, and them being a symbol of hope, or the bearer of hope, and that energy moving forward. And then also, I think, surviving the Chernobyl disaster as well, being resilient through these major cataclysmic events, right? These really big deal events that have been that happened in our modern history, right? So really showing the patience, the determination, the discipline almost of this tree, this energy of the ginkgo tree, having lasted through millennia, thousands and thousands and thousands of years as a species, and then the trees itself, just individual trees, being able to survive for over 1,000 years, right? They're some of the oldest trees on the planet, not necessarily the oldest trees. There are trees of different species that are older than ginkgo trees on average, but the ginkgo tree itself being one of the species that is one of the longest lasting, and having been a species that's been around for a really, really long time. So super fascinating in that regard. Our ginkgo tree here talks about patience, and no wonder, right? With a tree as long lasting that lives to be 1,000+ years old, right? Patience is the virtue and the way of life for this tree. So in the book, when looking through and reading the description, it talks about how we grow and as we age, how we gain more and more patience, our ability to be patient, right? For a 4 or 5-year-old, waiting an hour to go to the park or go to the beach or go on a trip or something feels like a lifetime, right? It feels like such a long period of time. Then as we get older, an hour is not that much, right? The amount of time like an hour is in our life is much bigger when we're young. Even a year, right? A year when we were 5 years old is a fifth of our life, versus a year when we're 30 is a 30th of our life, right? It changes with time, and this ability to be patient and have patience grows and grows and grows. So for something like a ginkgo tree, right, that lives to be in the thousands, an hour is like a blink of an eye. It's a minute. It feels so small by comparison, right? And it's really interesting to think about time in this way, right? I know for myself, reading different stories in the fantasy genre, we have different species like vampires and elves and other long-lasting humanoid species. And the way they view time is completely different, right? Their perception of time and reality is completely different because they have so much of it. And the way they can be patient, to the way they can allow things to happen and change, because they have so much time by comparison, is very interesting to think about, right? A very interesting thought experiment. With patience here and the ginkgo tree, in terms of spirit advice, looking at patience in our lives, right, where we can cultivate more of it, and having patience in the right time and place, and understanding how time works for ourselves, I think is very important, right? Time is an illusion at the end of the day, but the way humans perceive time is something we have to contend with, right? We see time in a very particular way, and the movement forward, quote unquote, forward in time, even though all time exists at once. So understanding how to progress things forward, how to have patience, how to accomplish things that we want to accomplish, how to be patient in our goals, but also being able to achieve them in a timely manner at the same time, right? So I want to read the quote real quick in here for ginkgo tree for patience. Each of the plants have a quote attached to them that the author put in for their description. And for ginkgo tree, it says, "Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience." And that is a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote. The ability for patience, as I'm reading, I'm double checking through the book here. I was caught, like a line caught me here. It says, "However, age does not always bring a sense of patience, as aging causes some of us to feel as though time is running out. Ginkashi to be patient no matter your age or circumstance." So with that in mind, that line caught my attention here, right? Because we're human at the end of the day, because we are dealing with time from a human perspective, not the time from a ginkgo tree perspective, we have to be strategic and understand ourselves, and understand how time does function, and understand how time functions in terms of, for a ginkgo tree, maybe in comparison, or even some of those other species that are long-lived, long-lasting, right? Like the Newfoundland shark, different things. Aging is different for different species. Aging is different for humans than it is for the Newfoundland shark, or there's the eternal jellyfish, I think, as well, that never dies or just constantly stays the same age. Aging is an interesting concept, right? How when in time and space that we become, quote unquote, old, and when our time's going to run out, right? We never really know that, right? Some people pass away when they're young. Some people pass away when they're really old. And we have our natural human lifespans, of course, but the way we move through and interact with life, having patience through it is going to be very, very important, right? Having the patience to make the right choice at the right time and knowing that things will pan out in the way it needs to be, because sometimes we just need time. Sometimes you can't force things to happen. Sometimes you need to have patience and let things happen in the time it's supposed to, in the way it's supposed to. And in other ways, knowing that time doesn't exist and that all things are now, and that if you have an idea, a thought to do something, now's the time to do it, right? But we're never truly running out of time because we never know when we're going to move on to the next life, right? Interesting kind of existential thought here, but let me pause for a second, make sure I'm not missing anything else from the description that I want to cover, okay? The final thought for Ginkgo tree here, and the energy of patience here for you, group number 4, in terms of spirit advice, is to take advantage of what you can and be willing to be patient and let go of the rest, right? Ginkgo trees, the leaves here, very beautiful green and interesting shape, but turn a very vibrant yellow when it's that time of year for the leaves to drop and the seasons to change. So yellow tying into our sacral, our solar plexus energy, that power, that vitality, and Ginkgo tree being willing to live through all the hardships, right? We go back to the tree being super resilient and living through all these disasters, that will to live and that drive to keep growing and changing and seeing the years pass, seeing life happen and the reality around it, and being present in life, right? So taking advantage of using our energy, our ability to grow and change and progress, and have a lot of willpower to accomplish our goals and the things we want to do. And then having patience at the other times in our life when maybe it's not the right time to do said thing. We accomplish what we can when we can, and then we let go of the rest to just let it happen in the time it's supposed to, right? There's a way to be proactive and patient at the same time. So that's the main advice I want to leave you here with group number 4 in terms of spirit advice. Is there is a time you can be proactive and active and progress while being patient at the same time, okay? So take a second to analyze in your life where you need to do a little bit of patience, just let things happen how they're supposed to. Everything will change in time. Everything does change. That is the one thing we can count on that will never change, is the fact that there is going to be change, right? So having patience to let the situation change itself and progress itself, and doing what we can with what we can at the time when we're able to, right? So do what you can, leave the rest behind. If you can't do anything, then don't worry about it. And that is the energy of Ginkgo for patience here, okay? So group number 4, I hope that was helpful to you. If you need other spirit advice, feel free to pick another group in this reading, or there are 2 other videos so far in this series that you're welcome to tap into if you need some different spirit advice or a little bit more. There's also videos from the animal kingdom that offer spirit advice as well. So whatever you may need help with, hopefully those will be helpful to you, and they are available to you right now. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, group number 5, the Shooting Star Life Purpose group. So this one's a bit on the nose. I mean, all of them kind of are in some regard, but this one is talking about our life purpose, right? And what that means in the greater context of life and spirituality and our cosmic consciousness, and how that fits into our society and the world right now. So this card coming out in terms of plant advice, spirit advice coming from the plant kingdom. The shooting star, it has this very unique structure, right, where it looks like a star coming down, right? This movement through and up and through, and how it brings it back down to earth here. It's really talking about a cosmic consciousness, a otherworldly consciousness, this bigger picture that is ready to come into your life, that you maybe feel deep down inside of yourself, that wants to be brought out, right? That wants to be pulled through, burst through, to be released, right? That kind of explosion out like a shooting star, this burst of energy. The call right now, I think for many people, myself included, is this idea of your unique expression, your unique life purpose, who you are and what you want to offer to the world, right? This card here is one of our flowering cards, which is, I believe, part of spring, or is it summer? Let's see real fast here. it is part of the summer. So this ripening, this energy of ripening, of growth, of this energy that we're going to be harvesting here very, very soon come autumn time, right? This is that growth period, that abundance, that everything feels very like full, and it's the word I want. I want to say abundant again, but I've said it so many times already. It's this like, almost kind of like this like juicy, like you get like think of like a juicy ripe peach, right? Ripe, that's the word I want, the ripeness coming in with our summer energy here in this shooting star. Depending on when you're watching this video and when you are getting advice from the plant kingdom here, it might be summertime, and that might be a very, very important time of year for you. Or the summer coming up, there might be this opportunity coming to you to take advantage that feels like it's going to fulfill your life purpose, right? That is going to call or maybe find your life purpose. The quote I wanted to read here that I've been reading for all the groups from the book here. This is a Rumi quote, and it says, "My soul is from elsewhere. I'm sure of that, and I intend to end up there." So this card really, really talking about that cosmic consciousness, right? That otherworldliness, the idea of starseeds and extraterrestrials and the souls that came down to this planet to help with this transition during our time on Earth here. This very volatile time, this very important time in Earth's history and Earth's evolution. There's a lot of souls that came from other planets, from other places, to bring this energy in, this star energy, the celestial energy that's needed to help the planet evolve and grow and change, and bring more light and love into this world. So maybe that is something that's been calling to you, right? That is a energy that resonates with yourself, being a star seed coming from another planet. There is this energy that starseeds have, people that identify with this kind of energy, that maybe you don't quite feel like you belong here, right? You don't feel like you fit in here in this energy of the planet. And that's kind of on purpose. Again, life purpose here. That's kind of the point, and not to discount the difficulties that come with that, the challenges that come with that. But those people that are starseeds, you out there that may be starseeds that connect with this energy, I have this a little bit too. It's like we're not meant to fit in. We're meant to change things. We're meant to bring about this change, to find our unique life purpose here, and to sit in that energy, be with that energy, rediscover that energy, and put it out in abundance, put it out exponentially. So that way it affects more people, it affects more lives, it brings this more positivity in, it's bringing this otherworldly celestial consciousness down to the planet, down into Earth, and letting that energy grow and grow and grow and ripen in the planet and in the human consciousness here. So the call here in terms of spirit advice, plant, both things are true. Plant advice from shooting star here is finding your unique life purpose, finding what that is. Maybe you already know and you have been too scared to go into it. I know that's kind of been the case for myself as well. But maybe you're trying to find it. So it's really connecting with ourselves at a very, very deep level here, finding that internal spark, that internal energy, that internal brightness, that otherworldliness that you may have, and going at it full force, bringing it 150% to the forefront. So that way you can live with yourself in a more authentic way, a way that feels very familiar to yourself, even if it's in an unfamiliar environment like the dense planet of Earth here, or our fun little Earth school that we have. But bringing it into reality and living that purpose and living that life, so that way it is reflected and refracts through everybody that you may meet. When I was reading the guidebook for this card in particular, the last paragraph, the first couple sentences really, really resonated, and I do want to read those for you as well. So it says, if you make the effort to follow your true interests, no matter how strange they seem to others, life will reward you. However, these rewards may seem insubstantial to the conventional wisdom that seeks only material goals, and others may not understand your choices. Nevertheless, stay firm in your strangeness. Learning how to move your own agenda forward, regardless of disapproval from family, authority figures, or society, is very important now. A lot more time for your hobbies and develop your distinct talents, skills, and interests. When you feel ready, jump on opportunities to share yourself with others. When the time is right, those with similar viewpoints will take notice of your work. Shoot for the stars, nothing less than your destiny is at stake. That's big energy here for sure, group number 5. But I think it's interesting, even as I just said it out loud right now, that you are the 5th group here. And 5 is the number of change in numerology. It's the number that says that change is coming, that change is present, that change has already happened, and moving through that energy as well. So being that change you want to see in the world, and it talking about our very destiny being at stake. That feels like really big energy and kind of scary, in all honesty, speaking for myself as well. But I think with where everything is right now on the planet and our societies, wherever you may be in the world, I think it's probably rings very true to yourself as well. There is a cusp we're on here of evolution, I don't want to call it a breaking point because it doesn't quite feel like things are breaking, but at the same time, things are going to be irrevocably changed, right? So leaning into this energy of the shooting star of life purpose is going to be needed more than anything right now in our current climate. So the advice that's coming through for whoever may be seeing this at any time, at any point in time and space, is to follow your life purpose, right? Figure out what that is, dig down deep, do the work for it. We see the hands here that have the stars in the palm and everything. Our hands are where we put in the work, right? Are where we put in our energy. My hands are what's on camera right now, putting in this effort. Using my voice, me using the change, being that change in the world, right? We do it through our hands in a lot of ways. And finding what that is for yourself here, whoever's watching this in group number 5, this is your advice, finding your life purpose and just going for it, right? There's no more time to waste. You can be scared and still do hard things at the same time and still do the things that you're meant to do even when you're scared, right? That's a quote I always remember. I don't even know where it's from now, but it's being brave isn't the absence of fear. It's doing things in spite of it or with it. And of course, that's not a direct quote. That's a paraphrase of it. But that's the energy that's present here for you, group number 5, and present for myself as well. So just know that you're not alone in this energy here. You're not alone trying to figure this out, trying to move towards this goal. So as the card kind of says, lean into the strangeness. You have an energy of a different place, a different time, and that's very purposely done. And you're here to use that energy to bring in better, bigger, newer, a higher calling of things, okay? So just know that despite how scary everything may be, that there is a purpose for you to lean into this fear, to do the thing that you're scared to do. There is a reason for it, and it'll pay off in the long run, okay? So group number 5, that's all I have for you. If you need other spirit advice, there are multiple videos in this series. There's 7 other groups to choose from in this particular video, 2 other videos in the series, and then there's spirit advice that you can get from the animal kingdom as well. So whatever you may need, this is a timeless reading, so you can always come back to it when you need to and pick something else. But that is all I have for you today, friend. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you have a good one wherever you are in space and time. You're not alone, okay? Love you. Bye. Hello, group number 6. Group number 6, the daffodil, self-worth. So here's a good close-up of this card here. So in terms of plant advice, plant spirit advice, daffodil, as we see, talks about our self-worth. The plant itself is one that grows very brightly and strongly. We see that with this yellow in the card here. We got almost like a ray of sun here. It looks like the sun. And this really ties in with our solar plexus chakra, right? Our self-esteem, our self-worth, where our power is internally. I do want to read the quote from the book that I've been doing this for all the groups so far. There's a quote for each of them. So this is an Eckhart Tolle quote. It says, "On a deeper level, you are already complete when you realize that there's a joyous energy behind what you do." So the genus of this plant is actually Narcissus, which gives you insight both for the positives and negatives, not necessarily of the card, but the energy that this plant deals with, right? So Narcissus, that legend where the person, Narcissus, was trying to find their love. Nobody was good enough for him. Eventually, I think he got cursed or something. I'm again paraphrasing, and I don't have all the lore down for this one, the history of it, but he falls in love with his own reflection in the water, right? And eventually perishes. He dies because he is so in love with his own reflection that he doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep, he doesn't take care of himself, and eventually he passes away, right? So the energy of daffodil here and the term narcissus, the energy that comes in with this card is looking at our self-worth in all its ways and all its capacities, right? Bringing in terms of spirit advice, it's like, where do you lack power? Where is there a need for more energy in your life? Where are you questioning your self-worth here, right? This card coming in and asking like, hey, let's take a deeper look at these things. Let's look in the mirror. Let's see ourselves clearly. Let's see ourselves for what we actually are. And bring in that energy of a sense of self-worth, a sense of knowing, right? And being like, okay, hey, this is what I have. This is what I have to offer the world. This is what I am strong in, what I'm capable in, and I need to trust that, right? It's really asking you to take a look at your imposter syndrome. That's the words I wanted. Looking at that imposter syndrome and being like, hey, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. No, the true answer is you're more than capable of it. This is something that you are called to do. This is something you're meant to do. This is that deeper energy that is available to you and that you need to bring up through yourself, right? It's this deeper energy here. This is at the bottom of the card, we see this little, see if it'll focus, maybe not, but this little orangey red color, and that's further into the chakra system, right? That is further in for our sacral and to our root chakra, pulling that energy up and out of ourselves into this prosperous, big, beautiful energy of self-worth and self-esteem and internal power, right? The daffodil here really asking, what do I have to offer? And knowing that is true and believing that completely, wholeheartedly. With this card specifically, it's interesting to look at where you need to recognize more parts of yourself, right? Where you need to look at your talents, abilities, your skill sets, and being able to honor those, right? The energy that wants to come through you, that you have to offer to the world, right? So I know a lot of us out there are trying to figure out our purpose, right? Trying to figure out what we are capable of, what we have that is of substance, that is what we want to provide to the world, right? All of us have our own special gifts, our own energy, our own skills and abilities and ways of doing things, and this is unique to yourself, right? And knowing that this is completely of yourself and that you have this to offer to the world, right? Nobody else is like you. Nobody else can do the things that you can do, right? And really trusting in that, believing in that energy, and really focusing, honing in on the self in this way, right? So it's narcissism in a good way. It's really focusing in, bringing more of this energy in of a love of self to a healthy degree, healthy amount, healthy self-worth, right? Where it's like, no, I trust myself. I'm confident. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I have to offer the world, and I trust that completely, and just going with that full force, right? Having that ability, that power behind you. In terms of more spirit advice, the daffodil here also talks about if you are focusing too heavily outside of yourself, right? If you are comparing yourself to others, if you have this feeling of envy or jealousy of what others have or what they're able to do, it comes back around for daffodil asking you to look back at yourself, look in the mirror, see yourself completely, and don't look for validation outside of yourself, validation from others. You're never going to get it in the way that you need, in the way that is going to be beneficial to you. And it's not going to be productive energy, right? It's not going to be energy that is going to bring in this life, this growth, this power, this self-esteem that you really, really need. So that is the way that the genus name, the narcissism, comes through in a way to be like, hey, no, pull it back. Let's focus on ourselves in a healthy and a positive way. Let me take a sec here, double check what else I want to kind of cover in this book. Yeah, I like this part. It says, rather than focusing on people or your people you desire or envy, consider your desires as a reflection of your own potential. How can you become what you desire in others? A story of Narcissus and Echo can be considered in archetypical terms, with Narcissus representing the masculine form within us and Echo the feminine. So Echo is the other part of the myth for Narcissus. The wood nymph Echo says here is the one who cursed him. No, she was cursed so she could not speak first, but only echo what others said. And then when she made her feelings clear to Narcissus, he rejected her as well. Ultimately, he learned how unrequited love felt when he fell in love with his own reflection in a pool of water. Then he wasted away by the water's edge. And these flowers popped up where his body laid. So, looking at ourself in all aspects, right? Looking at ourselves and our power and our abilities. What do we truly desire? What do we truly care about? What makes us happy, right? The yellow, the sun energy here coming through the daffodil energy as well is just very happy. It's very playful. It is very powerful in that way. It's very childlike and has that. Yellow always reminds me of innocence, right? And some like childlike wonder, right? This like outer yellow color here. We got the deeper inner yellow here, but we also have this like really light, playful yellow on the outside, and how that shines really, really bright. So the advice coming through, especially for this card, is to just dive down deep, right? Get really, really deep inside of ourselves. Look in the mirror, see yourself clearly for who you are, what you have, what you can offer. What skills, what abilities, what's uniquely you, right? And that is looking in the mirror clearly, cleanly, and seeing ourselves truly. Take that information, take that knowledge, and expand it outward then, right? Grow it out, move through it, move it out of your body into the world, because this is what you have to offer, right? This is the worth that you find in yourself to offer out to the world. It's a very interesting card for this time in my own life, maybe in your life, in the world. There's a lot of question of worth and what people value, right? How valuable people are, question of value and what we can offer, right? The societies that humans are living in don't look at what we can offer in terms of art and music and beauty and all those other things, right? It's about the constant grind, the constant movement through the go of capitalism in a lot of ways. And that is not where our worth lies at the end of the day. That is not where our true worth is, where our true self-worth is. It's not about how productive you can be and what you can give the world in terms of your work. It is what is uniquely you, what is the beauty within yourself here that you want to grow out and give. So keep that in mind here, group number 6. That is the energy that is being offered to you in terms of spirit advice for the daffodil here. And hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that resonates. If not, or if you need additional spirit advice, there are 7 other groups in this video in particular. And then there's a couple other videos that will be in this series as well. You can always come back to this video. It is a timeless reading. And any of the other videos in the series, also with the animal kingdom as well. I have a series for those. There's plenty of spirit advice to go around. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in space and time. Remember that you're not alone, and have a great rest of your day. Bye. Hello, group number 7, the burdock group, detoxify. So this is one of our root plants here. Very strong root energy. You see a lot of the light shining out of the bottom of the plant here, its root system, and how that moves all the way up and through the plant here. So our spirit advice coming from burdock, detoxify. It is what it says on the tin, detoxify. But what does that mean, right? So what does it mean in terms of spirit advice? What does it mean in terms of how to apply this to your life? So for detoxify, we have to look at our life and maybe take a fine-tooth comb to it, right? We have to, like we kind of see at the bottom here, the way this is almost like looks like a comb, right? To like rush through everything to really like fine tooth comb it, look through all the pieces and the details of it, and to see what we need to get rid of, right? We need to calm down using, maybe what we need to take a break from, maybe what we need to get rid of completely in our life. The level of detoxification will vary depending on your particular situation, of course, but it's asking you to take a step back here, right? To really look at our life and what's going on and what we maybe need to break from. Do we need to break from social media? Do we need to break from a particular friend? Maybe a environment that we're in? Maybe we need to take a vacation. There are certain situations that we can remove ourselves from completely, and then certain situations, of course, that we need to be in order to survive and live, and maybe it's just part of our day-to-day life, or it's our routine and everything, but there is a way to maybe step back for a little bit, or take a break from it, to refine how we interact with that space or that person or that energy, whatever it may be, and come at it from a different way. Or it's like taking a full break and then maybe we come back at it with a new perspective, right? We can't like stop the situation completely, but we can come at it. We can reset our brain, reset ourselves by taking a minute to detoxify ourselves and our energy, our brain, our emotions, whatever it may be, right? So specific examples in this case, right? So it's like you can't stop being a parent, for example, but maybe you can have the grandparents take the kids one day and you get a little bit of a break for yourself. Maybe you need to read a new book and you can come at your situation with a new parenting style, for example, and detoxify the energy you're bringing into the situation. Maybe it's a work situation, right? So you take a long weekend, you take that Friday off, or maybe the Monday, maybe both. If you have some time off to take, maybe you plan that vacation, right? So you can take a break, step back from that work situation, and come back, reevaluate. Take the time that you're away to reevaluate the situation and whether or not this is something you want to continue with. If maybe you have to, that's always the case for certain situations, certain people. We have our life and our means that we use to take care of ourselves. So maybe we can't step back in the way we'd like to, but there are ways we can step back from the situation in order to make, see things more clearly and make better choices for ourselves, and then maybe start the process of changing things, right? In terms of things like social media, maybe if it's something we need to detoxify, like an actual like substance, for example, it's a habit, a vice, or something of that nature, right? Then that can be something we do a complete detox from, right? Then you have a week of no phone. You do a week of no social media. Maybe you work and have people do this like at the beginning of the year where you have like dry January, things like that, right? There's lots of different ways this energy of detoxifying can show up in your life and what the need is in your particular situation in terms of spirit advice. So it's going to take you, again, going through your life with a fine-tooth comb. Maybe you already know, maybe you already have a hint of what this energy is, even as you're getting the card for off the bat, where it's like, oh, that's the thing I've been called to take a break from, take a breather from. That friends, that situation, whatever it may be, and you're already kind of being called to that. So this is your sign to listen to that energy, right? I want to read the quote from the book for this one. I've been reading them for all the different groups. So I think it gives a little bit of good insight into the situation a little bit further. So for Burdock, it says, retreat, a place and time for you to get reacquainted with you, the ebb and flow, a solitary sanctuary for renewal, a safe haven, a snug den, a refuge. And that is a Corey Wood quote. The book itself also talks about burdock being a plant with tenacity and hardiness, right? So it grows in lots of different places all over the world and lots of different environments. And it really shows for your particular situation here, group number 7, that there is something to look deeper at, but knowing that you can handle whatever the situation is, right? You're being called to let go of something, to move on from something, and you still have the ability to work the situation, even if you don't believe maybe off the bat that you can handle it, right? The process of detoxification, too, is also something that will strengthen you in the long run. I think that's something very important to point out here for you as well, group number 7. It's a process of stripping things back and finding what that root foundation is, what the root of things are, what that foundation is, and going back to basics, so to speak. Using that energy to rebuild from and be like, okay, this doesn't make sense. I don't like this part. I don't like this part. Trimming the plant back, the things that are taking up too much energy. Maybe they are not doing so well, right? Part of the plant that is dying, or maybe has an infestation, things of that nature, and trimming those parts out. As much as it is painful in the moment and it is painful to the plant, it is beneficial in the long run because it makes the plant healthier overall, right? Looking at your life in that sort of context where it's like, okay, this is going to suck to cut off that friend, but I'm no longer going to be drained energetically from them because they are not, I don't have that toxicity around me anymore. They are not going to use me anymore. Maybe I do lose that friend group I had, but is that friend group really, has that been beneficial to me this entire time? Do I get anything out of it? Do I get poured into as much as I pour into them, right? So cutting off that friend, while it's painful in the moment, in the long run, it's going to pay off and be better for you, right? Things of this nature, these kind of examples here is what Burdock is really, really talking about. Let me think of anything else here. What else might be coming through? The process of detoxification as well, right? It's an act of cleansing. It is cleansing the body, cleansing the self, cleansing the mind, the emotions, whatever type of energy we're looking at here, group number 7. And it allows room for more things. It allows space for new things to grow, things that are maybe being stifled underneath all this energy that you need to detox from. It opens up that space and allows those things that have been wanting to grow for a long time actually have the opportunity to flourish and expand. But we have to, again, strip away all that stuff that is superfluous, that is extra, that doesn't mean anything, that is just waste at the end of the day. Whether it's wasting our time, wasting our energy, wasting our resources, whatever it may be, taking that out of the equation completely, and then it allows for the room for new things to grow, new things to come about, things that you've maybe been wanting to grow, right? In terms of manifestation, it's talked about a lot, right? Where it's like, okay, you need to have the space for these things to come in, right? I randomly thought about something I remember reading. I think it was in The Secret at one point or whatever. Long time ago, back about like 20 years ago, probably at this point. And it was talking about maybe, I think as a woman wanting a relationship, right? And she did not have any room in her house for a person to live with her. Her closet was completely full. There was no room in the cabinets. There was no room on the counter, all those things, right? And in order to bring about her manifestation of bringing in this person, this partner in life that she really, really wanted, she made that space in her space, right? She had room in the closet. She packed some things away, moved some things out of the way. She donated whatever she needed. So then all of a sudden there's room in the closet for this person's clothes to go into. She made room on the counter for their toothbrush to be, their whatever pieces, right? Their skincare, their other things. They made room for this person to exist in their space. And that was the most important thing, right? And that is this process of detoxifying, right? So there's many different ways it can look. And for those that are trying to manifest something, then we do need to make that space, right? We need to make space in our mental space, in our emotional space for these new things to come in, for these new things to come about that we've maybe been trying to manifest for a really, really long time. And we only do that and are able to do that through this process of detoxifying ourselves and whatever that may be, right? It could be physical, it could be mental, spiritual, emotional. What else am I missing? I feel like there's usually 5, I say. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Yeah, we'll just go with those 4 for now. But you have to make room in those areas of life in order for new things to come in. And that's the goal here ultimately. Okay, group number 7. So I hope that resonated with you. I hope that made sense. If you're in need of additional spirit advice, there are 7 other groups in this reading that you are able to pick from, and a couple other videos in the series and more to come. So lots of plant spirit advice to go around. There's also the animal kingdom in previous videos I've done if you need spirit advice in that capacity. These are timeless readings, so you can always come back when you need a little bit extra help or advice, okay? Well, that is all I have for you today, friends. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Remember, you're never alone, and I hope you have a good day wherever you are in space and time. Have a good one. Bye. Hello, group number 8, my final group. So we have Devil's Club here and Reclaim Power. This is one of our root vegetables, our root cards, and a very, very strong card here. Very intense looking, very interesting, right? Really good to note all the spines along the stem here. That is indicative of the plant itself. And the way the book describes it is the tough love of this card, right? We're talking about power and this devil's energy, which, depending on your viewpoint, your cultural background, your spiritual, religious, whatever it may be, depends. But the way power can be demonized, I think, is a very interesting concept to look at with this card specifically. And specifically for those that are female, have feminine energy, female presenting, the way feminine power is demonized in a lot of ways is very interesting to think about as well. We have a lot of red in this card, which is really indicative of the root chakra and our survival, our ancestry, our deeper rooted power, right? Our deeper power. It's interesting to see the red even all the way through the card at the bottom here, all the way up and through in the eyes, in the center of the forehead here, and the flowering parts of the card of the plant. So looking at our very basics of survival, right? Power is survival in historic times, in our historic cultures, in times of the past for our ancestors, right? Just being stronger, more fit, smarter, all these different ways that power can present itself was how we were going to survive, how the next generation survived through all the hardships of life and all the hardships of that life throws at us. The way power looks in our current society, in our modern cultures, is very different nowadays, right? And the way it is wielded, the way it is presented, the way it is seen and viewed, and the perception of it, I think, is very, very different. And something to talk about for sure. With that comes the fear of power, right? Fear of those that have more power than us, fear of our own power, maybe having fear of being powerful because we have been hurt by those in power before, right? There is this dichotomy inside of ourselves, right? Where it's like we want power, but we're fearful of power because it's hurt us in the past, but we also want to have it in order to keep ourselves from being hurt again, and all the ways that this can show up, right? It's very interesting how this card and especially fear play go together. Not necessarily that it should be together or wants to be together, but the way it has been structured together for so long in our culture, especially currently. So with this card here, group number 8, the spirit advice that's coming through is reclaiming your power, right? That is what's on the card. But what does that mean? What does that look like, right? And the way we really do that is by knowing who we are inside, who we are deep down. And the card talks about the ways life can present situations to us in order for us to step into our power, right? Providing us lots of challenges, lots of lessons, more and more difficult situations that force us to be like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to stand for this anymore. I'm going to set up boundaries. I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to be firm with what I say, what things mean to me, and what my boundaries are, and how I'm feeling, right? And not letting anybody cross those boundaries, giving consequences to those that may do so. And we do this by taking on the challenges that life has for us. The book talks about Baba Yaga, and a book specifically I've read before. I can't remember what it's called. Let me see if it says it in the book and the description. It was Clarissa Pinocchiola Estes. Doesn't say the book itself. I have it. I know. I think it's something for wolves and wild women. But if you look up that name specifically, if those that want to see it, the doctor's name is right there. So the book title is right there. I have it somewhere. I think it's in my bedroom, but she talks about the fairy tale of Baba Yaga and the character of Vasilisa, and how she goes to Baba Yaga for aid in dealing with her step family. But Baba Yaga challenges her to puts her through a lot of challenges and difficulties in order for her to get stronger and be able to stand up for herself in the long run. It's a very tough love perspective. It's a very like hardening yourself and refining yourself, right? So there is the raw state of people, but coming into their power, right? We talk about diamonds and how they are formed under pressure, right? Becoming this piece of beautiful stone, but it is forged through so much pressure, so much hardship, so much heat, so much power in its own way, right? So power shaping us, and then being able to step into our power through that shaping process as well. I want to read you the quote from the description here. I've been reading it for all the groups. And it says, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. And that is an Alice Walker quote. The challenge that's coming to you now here, group number 8, and it definitely feels a little bit more like a challenge versus spirit advice. It's a challenge depending on, it's advice if you're cool and ready to step into it, and it's a challenge if you're fearful of it. Stepping into your power in this case, right? It's like, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to stand up for myself? How do I need to be more disciplined? How do I need to trust what is happening? Trust myself to be able to handle what's going to happen, the next difficult, challenging thing that I'm going to go through, right? And whatever that may be, it could be a just actual straight up challenging situation, right? You're going into a court date, a breakup, a difficult financial situation, right? But it also could be something where, if we're talking about reclaiming power and stepping into our power, right? It could be the next step in your evolutionary journey, right? It could be that career that you want to go for, that move you want to take to the other side of the country, a different country, the other side of the world, right? These things that are very scary to us, very challenging, but with it, by doing it and doing it despite being fearful of it, we reclaim this power. We step into this power that we so desperately desire, but are very scared of at the same time, right? The Devil's Club here specifically is it's an upfront energy. It's a challenging energy. It's a like, okay, what are you going to do about it? If you say you want these things, you say you're going to do these things, that you want your life to be different, what are you going to do to change it? Change it right now. Do the thing right now. Whatever you said you're going to do it right now. I feel like I'm calling myself out a little bit for this as well, but it's an energy that is very, very relevant, I feel, right now, right? There's a lot of needs and challenges and difficulties that life is presenting for the collective, that we need to step into our power as a collective in order to change things, to make things better, to make the world a place that we want to live in and a place that we want to be a part of. And we do that both on a collective level, but also at an individual level, right? If each and every one of us is living in our power, in our capacity, our abilities, our divine purpose, so to speak. It's funny to look through all the cards in this reading in particular and really read the story, right? We have illumination, seeing things clearly, mastery of self, renewal of self and past versions of self, having patience as we're going through the process, finding our life purpose, figuring out our self-worth, cleansing ourselves as we move into this energy, and reclaiming our power finally. So the entire spirit advice story in this video, in video number 3 of the Plant Spirit Advice series, really has its own full story that's come about. And it ends here with group number 8, infinity, the abundance, the growth of this power, this energy of humanity as a collective stepping into its power to change things, to make the world a better place, to evolve the human race. And then us doing this all at an individual level as well, of reclaiming our personal power, living in our authentic truth and who we want to be as individuals, as human beings, what we want to offer the world and offer to others, and put out energetically. And we do that by, even though we may be fearful, being courageous and stepping into this power, doing it in spite of the fear, being brave. And that is a power all in and of itself. Okay, here, group number 8. Strong reading to finish out on for sure. Whoever picked this group, if you were drawn to this card, I hope it gives you confirmation for what you hopefully already know, and you know the next steps that you need to do and what this means to reclaim your power, okay? So group number 8, that is all I have for you. If you need additional spirit advice, there are 7 other groups in this reading. There are 2 other videos in the series so far and more to come. So plenty of advice from the plant kingdom. And there's also other videos from the animal kingdom that you can get spirit advice from as well. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Just remember that you're not alone and that there is so much more out there for you if you can just step into it and take it. Okay? Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.